Hello, everybody, and welcome to Virtue Field in Burlington. I'm Brian McLaughlin with Matt Montel talking you ahead of a top-of-the-table clash. Vermont Green FC hosting the Western Mass Pioneers. And, Matt, this is a big one. Two teams that are even at 15 points apiece at the top of the table. This should be a really exciting day between two teams that have proven their quality at just about the midway point in the season. Great to have you with us today.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. And yeah, just to reiterate what you're saying, like this is kind of the seminal moment of like the midway through the season. Now we're all of a sudden starting to see like the actual division start to take its shape. Who's the most informed for it? And this is essentially the big dog matchup. So this is literally who Vermont has a game in hand, but this is going to basically decide like, all right, who's going to all of a sudden go into fourth gear going into the backside of the season. So it's going to be a heck of a game.
Western Mass currently, even with Vermont Green at 15 points apiece, two teams that made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals a year ago. And, Matt, there's one more connection between these two squads. Nacho LaRage, the Vermont Green FC striker, he was a Western Mass Pioneer a year ago. He scored 2 goals last season as a Pioneer, 5 goals so far in this USL2 campaign, leading Vermont Green FC. An exciting day for Nacho. Feels like he's kind of earned his way into that starting spot, but it's going to be an interesting one watching him this afternoon.
I think he'll be able to get over any loyalties that maybe he had for Western Mass at any point. They weren't paying him, $350,000 a week
quite.
and, living there for a decade or something like that.
Not exactly.
They didn't sing his name necessarily in the stands.
No Nacho Man chance
exactly.
down in Western Mass.
Which we'll get figured out. We'll talk to the fans. But no, it's going to be a really interesting and exciting day for Nacho. And you and I have talked on the side and during the matches and kind of what we're noticing out of the 3 available forwards to select from. Nacho always kind of just, to me, had like something more about him. Maybe it was a little bit of more passion. It was kind of like his type of pace. He was almost quicker in like those 10-foot kind of sprints. These little things that all, once they add up, they make a difference. He's got a very clean strike, really good finish, all of those. And right now, he's completely informed. He's on, what we discussed, 5 goals.
3 goals on the road trip alone, 5 total to lead the team.
Yeah, exactly, which it's not that many matches, so actually having 5 goals at this point is you're basically on fire. So it would be very difficult to drop him for DK or Pope at this point. And they'll fight for their chance for it, but right now you've got to start Nacho.
One of the other things that we're excited to watch for today with this Vermont Green side, the pairing at the 6, the 2 holding defensive midfielders, Musa Ndiaye and Giorgio Probo. We were excited for that duo. We saw it on a road game. First time you and I are getting to see it, though, in person. What are you looking for with that partnership?
Well, I'm looking for what Probo said that he wanted to find Nacho, and he did when they went on the road. And that was great. I was like, they seem to have kind of this friendship. That's what he at least, conveyed to us. Found him, got the assist for it, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll expect to kind of see that. I think the differences between Ndiaye and Probo is obviously kind of like their overall like physical size. Like Probo's a little bit more slender, kind of like a smaller frame. Very, I joked, I was like, he kind of reminds me of like Ander Herrera. He's got a little bit of a bite about him, kind of like, a little bit of that dark magic in there.
Yeah.
But he'll be more kind of probably like a quality provider from deep within the midfield. And DA also, by no means, he has class. It's just, and DA's got this, he's great in the air. We were saying it's like every time I see the ball, if the opposition goalkeeper doesn't play out of the back, NDA wins it. He wins that every time, which is actually really, really important for that position. I like to kind of quote it as the enforcer. Like, he's going to be the most physical. He's going to be the one that's going to be, giving the referee a headache the entire time. So it's going to be cool to see. Basically, that's what you would want out of like a 2-man out of the base of your midfield, and then you've got Zengi in front. And Zengi's just silk. Zengi's he wants that 20-foot little dink passes and to find like the horizontal runs or all these things. So I like this 3. It's going to be interesting.
And then we're going to turn our attention to Western Mass. This is the top offense in the division. They're led by the star from UMass, Alec Hughes. He's scored 7 goals so far in this campaign. That is, entering this week, 3rd in the country at the USL2 level. Bit of a different look in the back for Vermont Green. Nate Jones getting the start along with Zach Barrett. How does this defense have to handle such a prolific Pioneer attack?
Well, you were mentioning one of the center forwards for Western Mass is quote-unquote an absolute unit.
Hughes is a big guy. He's got size, speed, and can finish really well.
And he's racking up goals for it. So that kind of equals to everything we're seeing now in the division. Like, that probably very much explains why Western Mass is where they are. So I think everything that I've heard about Jones is Jones equally himself is a very, very big player, physical, fast, just has like kind of the core foundations of a center back needs to have. And then from there, it's kind of, all right, well, does he have quality on the ball for it? After all the recruiting that I've seen Adam and his coaching staff, almost every single player that he seems to recruit can play the ball out of the back. And to be specific, out of the defense. So anybody that he recruits from there, he expects them to be able to play a 40, 50, meter ball on the ground, accurate to the front foot or the correct foot for it. So, him and Barrett. Barrett and Ashford are very similar, in my opinion, for kind of like the physical side of things. The only thing that Ashford, I think, does extremely well is his positioning. It's almost immaculate. Every time I watch Ashford, that's the one thing I always notice. It's like he always seems to be kind of in the right place at the right time to be either first to the ball or make that tackle, and just basically he knows the touch that, his player that he's marking is going to take, gets his foot on it, something or whatever, gets his hip check, whatever it is. He's immaculate at that, and I think that's the only thing that maybe he has a little bit over Barrett, but otherwise it's not a steep drop-off.
We're going to go through the entire starting 11 for Vermont Green and Western Mass in just a moment. But for now, here's my pregame sit-down with Vermont Green FC head coach Adam Pfeiffer. And I'm now joined, pregame before the matchup with Western Mass, by Coach Adam Pfeiffer. Coach, big matchup today. How are you?
Doing well. Excited. Hoping the weather holds off a little bit, but we're excited to get this one going.
So much has changed since the last time you and I talked. That was Seacoast United the last time we spoke on one of these pregame shows. How do you feel like your team has changed? Obviously, 4 matches, including the Seacoast game, kind of in between then. Overall, in that time period, how's your group evolved a bit?
We've got some new bodies in, so that obviously, changes the dynamic a bit. The Seacoast game was, frustrating. I think, it was one of those games where, we had a lot of the ball. We're, probably the more influential team, and, they kind of did what they did to us last year, and they caught us in a couple of moments where we made, maybe little mistakes kind of managing the game and at the end of the first half and then to start the second half. And so, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how soccer works sometimes. And you hope it's not against a rival and in a big game, but it is what it is. So I'd say after we watched the game, I don't think it really affected how we looked
Sure.
at our group, with the exception of the wake up call to manage certain moments and we obviously we also didn't probably create enough in that game, and when we're playing against the better teams in the league, you've got to create more opportunities, and if you want to really feel like you have a gripe, like you should have won the game. And so I think that, along with some of the sort of just lapses in concentration are things that we were able to bring to players' attention, but the flow of the game was pretty good. We played all right, and I think that that's continued in the other games, but we've also just been a little bit more tuned in defensively, and we haven't given up many opportunities. So in the last 3 games, so that's been really good.
Still the only game where you have allowed a goal in period. You go on the road and take 9 points out of 9 possible in your next 3 games. What's worked well in that stretch? The defense obviously haven't allowed a goal. The offense scoring in bunches, in particular the 6 goals against Boston City. What have you liked from your group in that recent stretch?
Yeah, I think, we defend really well as a group, and I do think that's been, really important in those games. And look, when you don't give up many opportunities, I think we gave up, maybe one sort of half chance against Boston City, and then there wasn't much else that we really gave up. I mean, certainly no like clear chances.
Right.
So, that isn't just the back line. That isn't just the goalkeeper. That's everybody. And so, and we do a good job of keeping possession of the ball. And obviously the other team can't score goals when you have the ball. So, so from that standpoint, it's been really good. I think we've controlled games, but I think again, like, what we want to know about our team is, how we deal with adversity and in difficult situations. I will say we had to deal with a little bit of that at Albany, where we had a ton of the ball, created enough opportunities. We feel like we could have been ahead a few goals at halftime and weren't, and then being able to get one over the line sort of early in the second half, like that was really important for us, because I think that might be the only game we've gone in 0-0. I'm not 100% sure about that, but so that was really positive.
Let's talk about today's match. Two teams tied at the top of the division. Of course, you guys do have a game in hand against Western Mass, but they lead the division in goals scored. This is another highly powered team that made the playoffs a year ago. What are you expecting today against a team that could, again, challenge for that division title and is right at the top with you right now?
Yeah, I think you'd expect, sort of similar games to the games that we had with them last year. They're really strong. They've got a lot of, quality players that we were aware of before, this summer. So, they're good. They're well coached. They're tough. They've won this league before. So, they've got a level of experience in their group, and, a lot of older players. So it's going to be a tough game, and, we just got to find our way through it.
What are you hoping to see from your guys if you do allow a goal or you do have some adversity throughout this game?
Well, I think, obviously a response. I mean, the response was difficult against Seacoast because it was going into halftime, right? So,
sure.
That was the first goal we had conceded, and then they get another one right after, and we were shell-shocked for about 10 minutes there, and then we kind of took control of the game again, and then let up another set-piece goal later on in the game. But, you're just looking for players to respond in those situations and push back. I wouldn't say I was disappointed in the response in the last game. It was just kind of like the circumstances were difficult, and we can deal with it better, but those games are going to happen. You're not going to win every game during the course of a season, and so to lose that game at home, but still be in the position that we're in right now, we're happy with that.
Quickly, I want to wrap up with this. Nacho LaRache, now your team's leader in league goals with 5. This is his former team. He played for Western Mass last year. Already an emotional player. How do you try to contain Nacho while still letting him be that type of goal scorer and bring that type of passion that he always plays with, but even maybe an extra level for him today?
Yeah, I mean, look, like anytime you go against, college teammates or former teammates or those situations are always a little funny. We've obviously spoken to him about it, so he's got to just be focused on the job at hand, and I think he'll do that. He's an experienced player, and he wants to win the game, and we don't want anything to get in the way of that. It is what it is, but I'm not putting too much stock into it.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Good luck today.
All right, thank you.
A top-of-the-table clash, Vermont Green FC hosting the Western Mass Pioneers. Back with Brian McLaughlin and Matt Montel, getting you the starting 11 between these two teams that are currently even at the top of the Northeast Division. Matt, a rainy and cold one here in mid-June. Doesn't exactly feel like it's the middle of summer, but here we are, and it's a big match between these two sides. This is going to be a really fun day.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been looking forward to this building up in the last couple of weeks now as we watch kind of the division play out a bit. And now all of a sudden we're coming to this where we understand that, we have technically a match, in hand. And if we win this match, we all of a sudden, really take a hold of the division for it, which is just absolutely – I think you have to take a step back and understand how spectacular that is for, a team that is only in its second year, in this actual league for it. So hats off to them. This is a big, big game for them. I'm so excited.
Let's meet the starting 11 for the visitors. The Western Mass Pioneers, who enter with 4 wins, and 3 ties. This is their 8th match of the year. We'll start in the back. Their starting goalkeeper, Gianluca Sersosimo. And then on the left-hand side, Connor Bagdon. Rodrigo De Castro is in the middle, along with Gabriel Pacheco. Number 2 and number 3 there play collegiately together at Bethel University, the 2 Brazilians. And then a returner from last year, Nico Oberach, on the right-hand side. Jared Smith, the Quinnipiac Bobcat, on the left. Flanked in the middle is Augustine Boati on the right-hand side. The Rhode Island Ram, Jordan Kodua. And then up top, the German, Juri Schlingmann on the left-hand side. Ignacio Albo, an Argentinian, in the middle. And on the right from Merrimack, Lori Goddard gets the start for the top offense in the division. A 4-3-3 setup for today's visitors. And now how about we run through the Vermont Green FC starting 11. Nathan Schnurr, you see there wearing the captain's armband for the Green. The keeper on his 21st birthday gets the start in net and wears the armband. Matt, what stands out from this 4-2-3-1 setup?
Actually Jones coming in, getting slotted in, and pretty quickly. He had just kind of arrived, but that says a lot about basically what Adam and his staff, they know about him. They understand what he's all about. I think it's going to be really interesting to see him come immediately in, right into the heat of it. Midway through the season, a lot at stake for it. There's going to be a lot of pressure for that, but watching him kind of warm up, just kind of watching his body language, his size, everything like that, I'm pretty excited to see what he's going to bring to this back line. And then, obviously, Ndie and Probo, I think that's just going to be a really nice dynamic midfield sitting in front of the defense there. Probo being a little bit more the provider, and Dia being a little bit more on kind of the enforcer side, a little bit more of the physical side of the midfield. And then you've got all that class up front. You've got Diarbian, Zengi, Lane, and Nacho. Nacho is just on fire right now. I'm expecting him to have a big match as well. I think he's going to be really up for it going against his former team. So a lot to watch in this match.
Vermont Green coming off a 2-0 win against Albany Rush Tuesday. The Green have won 3 consecutive games, all of them on the road. So they look to get back on the win column at home. And at the midway point of this 2023 campaign, a chance to take a stranglehold atop the Northeast Division. A win would put Vermont Green 3 points clear of their closest challenger, Western Massachusetts. We've got a dandy about to get underway. Getting us started, Juri Schlingmann, the Merrimack man, the central forward for Western Mass, and the visitors possessed to start today's action. There's an international flair about this Western Massachusetts squad. The Argentinian goalkeeper, and an early foul going against Nacho Larache, the former Pioneer.
And right away, you can just see him absolutely just chasing down the ball, not wasting a second to put the pressure on, make them play, make them cause an error for it. I think that's going to be what we're going to be seeing a lot of.
He fouled Gabriel Pacheco, the Brazilian center back from Bethel University. Again, that's a pairing at the back line that played together in their fall season. De Castro and Pacheco anchoring the Western Mass defense. That's Nate Jones, who sticks his head in early, working against Augustine Boati, the Boston College Eagle, one of the starting attackers for a Massachusetts side that lead the division in offense. 2 teams that can really score goals. A bit of a choppy start, early fouls both ways. These 2 teams split their matchups a year ago. They'll play twice again this season. And I think it's obvious just how important this game is, and both sides know it. Dylan Lane earning the start up the right-hand side with Benny Prego, the right back, Lane, the right-handed winger. Lane scored 3 times over the last 2 games. He was one of the stars of the road trip along with Larache. Lane unable to beat Jordan Kodua, who slides in for the tackle. And Kodua ushers out for the throw-in.
Unmarked, Zengi.
And that's out for a corner.
I like it. Vermont's playing quick, very fast, even just off of throw-ins for it. You see Zengi right there, just takes the space really quickly, totally unmarked. It's good awareness.
It's the Italian Giorgio Probo. 14 assists this fall at Creighton. Probo towards the back post. It lands. It's loose.
Ooh.
And before Dylan Lane could put up another audacious finish, it was jumped on by Sir Sosimo.
I at first kind of thought that it actually wasn't a great corner kick. It didn't have a lot of whip. It was kind of chopped under, and I thought the goalkeeper was going to get a hand on it, but it was actually just enough to go. And that's, in this type of weather, in these conditions.
It is rainy.
The corner kicks are going to be the sketchiest because it's just slippery. It's hard for you to get a hand on it.
Barrett miscues that one. Prego under pressure. And there's Nathan Schnurr, again wearing the captain's armband on his 21st birthday. Comes out and is sure-handed, but there's that little bit of slipperiness causing some havoc.
There's that error that's going to cause, from these conditions for it. So, you're going to start to see, or you've already started to see, basically, those kind of long balls because they know it's going to be difficult.
Larry Goddard into the midfield for Ignacio Albo. Connor Bagden is the right-hand winger. Nico Oberach, a returner, starts at the left-hand side. On the turn is Goddard. Over the top looking for the speedy Boati. And there's Barrett over to cover. It's a new-looking back line. Jones and Barrett started together and recorded a shutout last time out against the Rush. But
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Right away, you can see Western Mass also know the pace that Bellotti has. They're putting that ball in, and they're putting it immediately into 1v1 situations, and they trust that he has the pace to beat them.
Speaking of pace, Diarbian, but he's not on the end of it. Goddard. Giorgio Probo. Sandwiched and fouled.
Good sportsmanship.
An early talking to for the German Schlingmann. There's a look at Schlingmann. Just came through the back of Probo. Well, in the early minutes in the Seacoast United matchup, that was the last league match that we've seen, Matt. Green struck early. They dominated the early possession. Mm-hmm. This one lacks some flow to it in the early opening 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think, we keep harping on the conditions for it, but I also think it's basically the pressure of the match itself. It's nobody wants to be the first one to make that error small pass that leads into a quick break and then leads to a goal or a chance on goal, those kind of things. And it's pretty normal, when it's basically, 2v1 in the actual division for it. So, but you're already seeing heavy tackles, slide tackles.
This time it's Oberach and Dylan Lane. Exactly. They're going to go at each other often up that right-hand side.
Yep. I think it's going to be a little bit of a blood and thunder today.
Somebody involved in tonight's match beforehand, Matt, told me, I just hope it doesn't turn into U.S.-Mexico.
It's pretty entertaining, though.
I was entertained, but nobody wants to
Wasn't a lot of football.
4 total red cards in the last 20 minutes of that. There was not a lot of soccer going on late in that one. Barrett's long ball intended for Diarbian. Cut out well by Bagden. Messer allows it to go out for a throw. Diarbian in tight spaces. Coming over to cover, that's DeCastro. But there's that duo of Messer and Diarbian Lincoln.
Ball goes out for a throw-in for the green. I can confirm that hit a man eating broccoli behind the bleachers. A man eating broccoli was hit.
This time it's Bagden surrendering another green throw right in front of the Green Mountain Boys. Great to see so many fans bundled up in attendance tonight, getting their rain jackets and umbrellas to good use. Medivades Pro Bone. There's the newcomer at the back, Nate Jones. Listed at 6'2". I think he might even have a couple of more inches.
Yeah, I was going to say, he doesn't look 6'2". He looks 6'4" from even up here. He's definitely an absolute unit.
Almost a bad giveaway for LaRache. Nacho, the former Western Massachusetts Pioneer. He scored twice last summer. Zangi picked it up in a dangerous spot. Jordan Kadua comes in to take it away. Diarbian just ran out of real estate. Our official along the near side, assistant referee, had a good look at it. There's this blinding pace, though, of Gavork's DRBing.
Yeah, it's he's gonna have his heels on that white line as much off the ball as possible, because what he wants to draw everyone out, give himself just enough to drive in.
Barrett under pressure from the charging Boati. There's our first look at Musa Ndiaye. He's been a bit quiet in the first 7 minutes plus. Bad touch from Messer. Given away to Albo. Jones the tackle, but it's to the feet of Goddard. He swings it wide. Advantage played for the Pioneers. And now it's loose for Albo. And the Pioneers jump in front. Ignacio Albo off of a Messer turnover. Eventually gets it back and breaks open the scoring.
And that's the type of errors that I think everyone is trying to avoid. As early in the match, they're trying to figure out, all right, get a touch of the ball, get kind of a pace going, get a rhythm going, all those types of things. And we saw long ball after long ball after long ball, and then now each team is going to try to actually get that rhythm. And unfortunately, in these types of conditions, the ball moves very quick on turf, especially when it's a little wet out. So that's unfortunate.
It is the 8th league game of the year for Vermont Green. This is just the second game they've allowed a goal. For Albo, it is his second goal of the summer. Another of that Argentinian contingent that includes the starting keeper. So Vermont Green playing from behind. This is not something they've had to deal with often, but facing a deficit. Goddard again over the top. Man, he's got pace. It's Boati. Schnurr comes out. Boati gives him a bit of a hip check.
I thought that was a foul on Schnurr, but
and
I guess not.
Probo wins it back.
It's a good ball.
Dylan Lane, beautifully for Zengi. Now Gavork Diarbian. Larache waiting in the middle. Diarbian wants his right. Now Diarbian. Couldn't quite find Messer. Goddard, the slide, boots it out of play.
I think, he wanted Messer just a little closer on that overlap, and you would have seen him just feed it through.
There's a look at the hit between Schnurr and Boati. Messer into the mixer where it's handled by Sir Sosimo. I think at the end of the day, that goes down as a great read from Schnurr, though, right? Boati had a step on the defense.
You could see he was, in two separate minds, like two separate decisions right there. And I saw him hesitate for a minute, and then he committed, and just in time for it. But I think if he took any longer, that was going to turn into a foul.
Kadua. That's Benny Prego, the only Vermont Green member to start every league match so far this season. Probo under pressure. Diarbian with physical defense by Bagden, the home crowd, helping the referee out. Gavork Diarbian, second on the team with 4 goals scored. Got the day off on Tuesday against Albany Rush, back in the starting 11 tonight.
I think they've identified Diarbian, too, as one of the main threats, because every time he has the ball, I've seen him immediately under pressure.
He's been the focal point of so much of the Green attack so far this season. Prego coming inside. Probo gives it back to him. The two former teammates at Iowa Western Community College. And now Diarbian. Messer does overlap. Probo settles it down. Dylan Lane. Back and forth with Prego. The first spell of possession for the Green. Again, Diarbian physically challenged by Bagden. The right back, who stands at 6 feet tall, plays for the Holy Cross Crusaders.
Yeah, Bagden's done a really good job of kind of keeping it predictable, making Diarbian go backwards consistently more often.
Another strong challenge by Oberock this time to knock it away from Lane, and the Green retreat to recuperate. There's Probo, the distributor. Oberock, the captain and returning player from last year's Pioneer crew, heads it out of the air. Two teams that both made the Eastern Conference semifinals last year. And now Dylan Lane has found a pocket. Lane can
Really
charge.
good space there, too.
Prego. That back post cross bounces, and now Diarbian lassos it in. Following the goal for the Pioneers, this is a good spell for the Green. Lane looking for Prego. Prego defended physically, asking about maybe an elbow there, but doesn't get the call. It's a throw-in for the Pioneers.
Yeah, I think he had a straight arm on him, and he was kind of contesting. He's like, well, it's not fair. It's going to be a lot of that.
It's a Pioneer group. They have not lost yet this season, although they've dropped points because they've been unable to gather some wins against winnable sides. Recently ties against BlackRock FC and the Boston Bolts, teams that Vermont Green handled easily, have allowed the Green to get back in this division race after Western Mass had opened up a big early lead. Here's a look at the Western Mass sideline. Barrett. Nacho Lorach. And here's Lane.
Lane picks up on the right.
Prego.
Nice overlap. Wrong foot seems to on the ball.
And now back to Lane. Patience up the right-hand flank. And Probo uses Jones.
Probo recycles, and we start looking down the left.
It's good. It's a, like you said, a spell of possession. It's a lot more control now. It's settled down. It's unfortunate that the goal went against, but as of right now, this is exactly what they need. They need to get a touch of the ball. Everyone needs to get warmed up into this, and now you're starting to see like they're trying to find those passing lanes because Vermont Green FC doesn't have, a tall, imposing number 9. So that cross isn't generally always on.
Lorach looking for the contact and draws it. De Castro through the back of Nacho. And Lorach on the ground will make the most of it. It's been a physical start from Western Mass.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're top of the league, top of the division right now. They want to keep a hold of that. They understand that, Vermont has a game in hand for it, so they need to absolutely win this if they want to, put a chokehold.
It is a 14-game regular season in the Northeast Division. Of the 9 teams in the division, you play 6 of them twice, 2 of them once. These 2 teams will meet again later on in Western Mass. But even in points, Vermont Green having played 1 less game to this point in the year. Giorgio Probo on a set piece. Nate Jones and Barrett are forward. A low-line drive cut out by the striker Schlingman, who had worked his way back defending.
I think Dylan Lane has been consistently finding pockets of space more often than I think anybody else right now in that forward 4, between Zengi and Diarbian. Right now, Diarbian has been marked, within 5 feet every single time, but Dylan Lane seems to consistently, again, finding that space out. He's taken that up, and I think he's going to be maybe the difference right now, in unlocking that defense.
Dylan Lane, who plays at Furman, has been in great form. Scored twice against Boston City FC. 3 goals in the last 2 games for Lane, back in the starting lineup. And DAM Probo link up. Zangi told us he wanted to get better on the turn. There he was on the half turn. Messer draws a pair of defenders, bringing bagged in all the way to the corner flag. And now Diarbian. This is Zangi. Challenged. Ndie back for Diarbian. A Pioneer body goes down in the middle. Messer. Again, a bit heavy on the touch, just a bit loose. And that brings Vermont backwards. Giorgio Probo has a hit. The Italian, Giorgio Probo.
Good strike. Really good strike. Backed himself for it. He had the space for it. He took that little touch in front. You can see it here. Good touch right there. Second one. Lines it up. That's a really good strike. It's just really unfortunate. Just a little bit off.
It had Gianluca Sersosimo moving on his line. The Long Island Shark, who had 5 shutouts in the fall for Long Island. He has started all 8 matches for Western Massachusetts.
Looks like there's a little bit of wind up there. Ball kind of got hung up.
It's definitely just drifting from right to left across your screen. DRBN, he's got Messer with him. Now space for Messer. A low ball across. Bodies are back for Massachusetts. Look at all those black jerseys inside the 18. But the Green do earn a corner. Another look at that Probo strike. That was maybe a foot wide, not more than that. Zach Zangi with the Green looking for an equalizer. Again, Jones and Barrett are big targets. Deep to the back post and too tall for Barrett.
A little bit too spicy. Goes over the heads and out for a goal kick.
Maybe that's something that Jones is going to kind of bring to those corner kicks, those set pieces. You know, I think Ashford was – I haven't necessarily seen Ashford become, like, prolific off of corner kicks, you know, getting his head on the end of the ball. I'd be
scored
interested
against Boston City off a corner, but he scored 3 times last summer, all off of corners.
Yeah, but was it with his feet or was it with his head? I can't remember. That's the only problem.
The
so I'm wondering if Jones kind of adds that a little bit to the recipe, is that he's really imposing with his head off of corners.
You think that the group of India, Barrett, and Jones, that is 3 big targets in the box on those.
India especially, yeah.
Yep. Masser really packing back defensively. India advancing. Back for Prego. Bernardo Prego crosses. LaRage pounces, but Sir Sosimo able to smother. Really well worked.
Really good series of play. You're starting to see now that's, 2 chances created within a span of a couple minutes for it. Vermont is starting to really, really grow into the game now.
Benny Prego has looked like he's got a bit of a jump up that right-hand side.
I kind of wanted him to strike there, actually.
I think he was looking for Nacho LaRage, who was in the general vicinity of the 6-yard box. Prego, not known as a goal scorer, had 6 assists in the fall for Franklin Pierce. A great distributor at right back. I mean, look at the time now that this back line are being given.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were seeing, Western Mass, they were pressing high in the beginning. They had all that, initial first 5-minute energy where they're like, all right, just force errors, which they did. Messer, unfortunately, had a heavy touch on there, and they got what they, intended to do from there. But again, now you're seeing them pull back, 10 feet a little bit. They're sitting a little deeper. So Vermont are taking that. They're taking that space, and they're starting to link up play a little bit, these passing sequences to start creating these shots on goal. And I think Western Mass might, if they want to hold on to this lead, they need to revert back to how they started.
A foul called after the Benny Prego dribble drive into the middle. This is Probo. And here's Probo's ball. Chopped to the back post. Jones wins the header. Pulled down by Sir Sosimo. That's what you're talking about, though. Jones sitting at the back post. He's going to win jump balls.
Yeah, I don't know if he had intended to or not, but I would have, said go back across the goal instead of go for goal from there, but maybe it just didn't happen because it was wet.
Probo playing with it. He's been on the ball a lot. Spotted DRB in the middle, just couldn't control it. And Zangi unable to keep it from Kadua. Jordan Kadua, who plays at Rhode Island for Goddard. Goddard looking down the line, and he spotted a man. Chopped back.
Offside.
Shot for Schnurr, but the flag is up. Offsides. Well done by Schnurr, denying the charging Jared Smith down the left.
And that might be, honestly, how it starts to play out for Western Mass, too, is if they're going to start sitting back just a little bit more, that break there, they're happy. Now they've got, 1-0. They can actually start to play the break. They can have a little more insurance defensively. They're okay with, Vermont having the ball in the midfield a little bit more right around the halfway line. And then those chances where, the ball's slick and it's moving fast, the break is on.
And DRBN working on Bagdon. Gavork Diarbian. A left-footed cross, well read by DeCastro. Probo gets it back. Looking wide for Lane. Lane gets on the end of the ball that guides him wide. Oberock on defense. Prego pressured by Albo. And it does squirt to Boati.
Who's just got pace for days.
Runs away from Probo, but his ball that was intended for Schlingmann ends up into the pocket of Schnurr.
I'm not necessarily asking for a huge change out of Schnurr, but there's been a couple of times where I want him further up in his box because you're starting to see, like I was saying, that break is on a lot. And if he takes, another 10, 15 feet forward when, Vermont has the ball further up in the field in possession, and if that break comes, I feel like he can snuff out that attack a lot more because that ball is it's not going to sit. Like, it's going to move fast, and I think he'll win that more often.
Prego ends up being punched out by Oberock. I'm with you. I think Schnurr could be aggressive, and it has been those breaks. That's when Western Mass has been at their best.
You're coming up on the 25-minute mark. You're starting to see, basically trends in the match for it. And I think Schnurr, any player kind of worth their salt, they start to notice those kind of things. And now you're seeing him, he's a little bit further, I would even take another 10 feet from there.
LaRache asking about a push in the box inside the 18. Dylan Lane slides it for Zengi. Zach Zengi, again, really well read. This time it's Gabriel Pacheco intercepting the Zengi feed. Those two Brazilian center backs in the thick of it. But Green slowly ramping up that pressure.
It's good defense, but if that consistently keeps happening, one of them is going to slip through, and that ball is going to either get a bad deflection off of a Western Mass player, or it's going to find Vermont Green FC for a tap-in.
Probo gets underneath it. His wedge is knocked down. It's free, and the ball trickles wide. Sir Sosimo still down on the deck after a physical confrontation. Nate Jones right in the mix again.
Looking at the replay, too, I do think it's a foul by Jones, potentially. It looks like the keeper just had his hands on it first and then just gets absolutely blown up from behind.
Looking more and more dangerous on the set pieces, though. Just a bit of physical contact, kind of the hip of Jones through the back of it.
I like it, Goalkeepers, they get a pass for absolutely wrecking people all the time, and then when you touch them, everything's a foul no matter what if you touch them. So once in a while, if they get rocked, I'm okay with it.
It's okay to let the keeper know you're there.
Exactly.
And DA won the initial header, but still free. Barrett in Diarbian's direction. Jones uses his captain, Schnurr. First time we're getting to see those electric pine keeper kits. I'm a big fan of those that Schnurr's rocking.
Can't miss them.
No, you can't. Well, if you're just joining us, an Ignacio Albo finish, taking advantage of a Vermont Green turnover. Have the visitors in front, and now it's Diarbian who coughs it up. Goddard intended for Schlingmann, but Jones wins the race. Bagdon cuts in front of Diarbian. Those two quite familiar.
Bagdon's just got, an extra 15 pounds of muscle on him. Diarbian, he's going to need to find the little pockets of space, get away from him. Might have to drop in a little bit deeper to try to get into a 1v1 and then use his pace from it. But when it comes to just basically both arms on, I'm kind of seeing Bagdon's having his way right now. But it's a good test. It's a good test for Diarbian. He's developed a reputation now within the division. Everyone knows about him, so that is clearly something that they've identified. They're do not give him a lot of space.
You know what Giorgio Probo's identified? That Dylan Lane has loads of room up the right-hand side.
Yep.
He is consistently slinging it out wide to him.
And that's what a good team does too. If they see what is the proverbial star player on the left side is just really under pressure all the time, doesn't have a lot of space for it, you need to be able to pivot. You need to be able to use, like, it's 11 men. Like, you use everyone.
After initially being called a throw for the green, Nico Oberach can take it. What a touch. Probo
Even
looking
better.
for Nacho. LaRache has the keeper out. In the end, LaRache just couldn't get a physical, solid touch to it. And Sir Sosimo did enough. Maybe.
I want to see the replay for it. I don't think there was necessarily a foul, but I wanted to see maybe Nacho get a touch just before. Maybe the ball was moving a little too much. Just get that flick on, maybe one bounce before.
That's the first time we've seen Probo look for Nacho over the top.
It was a great touch, great ball.
And there's a physical play from Nacho as he goes through Oberach.
And yeah, here's that break right there, right before. It's very good goalkeeping. He gets big, opens up his legs and his arms, gets huge, gets a touch on the ball, and takes away the shot.
Oberach climbing to his feet. Meanwhile, off screen, Nacho getting a talking to from our head official. No bookings yet as we reach the 30th minute. Initially won by the visitors. Western Mass into their attacking third. Kadua. He evades Ndia, and the referee says that he was looking for a foul.
Nacho needs to be careful at this point. It's a little pull down, but he's already had a talking to from
And
the
on
referee.
Nico Oberach, the same man. So
Yeah.
Nacho shown a yellow.
And now is the time you need to take a breath for it. You are well on the center official's radar. He's already had a talking to. Now you're on a yellow for it. I understand that you are down 1-0. You desperately want to win this match, and it's against your former team, but now's the time to take a breath, get collected. You are creating chances for it. You need to be on the field.
The fiery Argentinian's third yellow card of this season. Barrett wins an uncontested header towards LaRache. Again, well handled by Bagden.
I think he's been arguably probably their most consistent, standout player.
Goddard looking for a foul on Zangi, didn't get it. That allows Diarbian to break. Gavork Diarbian slithering his way towards the edge of the 18. And it's out for another green corner. But that's the danger of Gavork Diarbian. He gets a sliver of space and he's off.
Well, yeah, you saw Ogden kind of arguing about it. He wasn't actually – he switched off mentally, and then Diarbian just took his chance. He's like, all right, well, that's my moment for it. And you see what he immediately – once he starts driving, it just starts to turn into chaos defending it.
It does really turn to chaos. Probo. Again towards the back post. Jones rose up. Zangi had his shot blocked. Prego.
That's a concussion protocol. That was right to the head.
Still Benny Prego. Able to get across away. And DA just yanks it wide.
Oh, I applaud the attempt, though. I absolutely applaud the attempt. That is way more difficult than he made it look.
A flurry of pressure from the Vermont Green.
Kept his eye on it the whole time. Really good technique. Struck it really well. Just really unfortunate.
And that was some emotion from Musa and DA after missing the target. Zangi pressuring Kadua. That will be a goal kick. But a bit loose that time from the Pioneers out of the back. Haven't seen that much from them.
You're starting to see a little concern now in Western Mass for it. There's about arguably 15 minutes left in this first half for it, and I got that kind of feeling that there's a goal coming.
They've allowed 4 goals on the season. never allowing more than one in a contest. But this is their best test to date as well, going on the road against their biggest challenger. Barrett got the inside step. Jimmy, tuning in from New Zealand. Great to have you. Some awkward hours maybe right now to tune into the green from New Zealand.
Gotta love it. Kiwis tuning in.
Happy to have you wherever you're tuning in from. It is a rainy night in Burlington. Rain does make things green. What's very green around these parts? We've had a lot of rain recently. I'm ready for some sun, to be honest.
Yeah, my golf game is terrible right now.
Mine too. More on that later.
Yeah, we'll just blame the weather.
DRBN was looking for a corner kick, but Bagdon gets the best of that exchange. It's a goal kick. Gavork DRBN showing frustration.
You can hear the fans are turning on the ref a little bit.
More of that to come, I think.
Yeah, as the game progresses even further in, it's only going to get worse.
In particular, if the score line stays tight. Zangi draws the foul. Again, Bagdon, physically.
I don't think it was a foul, honestly. That those are kind of the annoying calls. It's like, that's not a foul. Zangi smashed into him, but Ogden's is a brick building. We clearly.
And now it's Prego who gets tripped up, and I think we're going to see the first booking. Sure enough, against the Western Massachusetts side, it's Jared Smith, the Quinnipiac Bobcat, his 4th yellow card of the year. That leads the team. And Prego remains down.
Pretty sure he gets his 5th. He misses the next match.
We'll check on that.
Yeah.
Good to see Prego pop right back to his feet. He's become a staple in the lineup.
Ooh.
Just late.
It's kind of dirty.
Cynical.
Yeah.
Prego and Lane. Lane racing with Oberock, who used his body positioning well. Since the early Western Massachusetts goal, Vermont Green have absolutely had the majority of the scoring chances.
I think we're hearing some of the fans talking about time wasting from the goalkeeper, getting a little frustrated with it. I can empathize.
Well, Rach had to be careful not to stab in on that challenge. DeCastro missed his teammates. Awkward from NDA, but dealt with by Probo. Lane closed down by Oberock. Drops for Prego. Barrett. Jones. And Messer. The whole back line getting involved. The possession have belonged to the green as well, but trailing on the score sheet. DRBN tried to dummy his way by Bagdon. And then I think Gavork was looking for a foul, but not going to earn that one.
Yeah, just not enough to make a decision.
Offsides on Augustine Boati. He's shown he's willing to take those chances.
You can see Ogden's having a couple little words with DRBN. DRBN's trying to ignore it and stay focused for it, but I actually like that. I like it when players kind of try to get in your head a little bit. Hey, man, you're having a really great game. You're really trying. You're really trying really hard. Nothing would annoy me more.
Zangi tied up by Kadua.
Ooh.
And now Zangi and Kadua have it coming together. And a yellow card shown for Zach Zangi. After the free kick was going his way.
Zangi threw him.
It's been Jordan Kadua on the back of Zach Zangi to this point.
So right here, yeah, just a little push out.
Don't be goaded into it.
Zangi about 3 inches shorter than Kadua. Either he is really strong, or I thought Kadua maybe jumped a bit on his way down.
Yeah.
Certainly was airborne on his way to the turf.
I think he left his feet pretty easily on that.
Frustration building, though, amongst Green players. A group that have become used to scoring and scoring in bunches. Probo optimistically for Messer, but it leaks beyond the end line for another goal kick. We've seen a lot of those long balls. Is that just because the man marking has been so tight in the midfield?
Yeah, I mean, both the left back and the right back, that entire back line for Western Mass have been very, very tight on Nacho and Diarbian and even Lane. You know, Lane was finding some more space, not as much lately in the last 10 minutes for it. They're doing a good job. They're pressing real tight.
We expected this match to be tight. Never thought it would be easy. There's a miscue by Bagden. Diarbian, the rare chance to get the ball and go forward. He gets tackled. It's a throw-in off of Bagden. A risk from Connor Bagden, but apparently he won the ball.
I want to see Messer. I understand that right now he is very wary of the two forwards. You know, it doesn't even really look like a 4-3-3 when Western Mass actually have the ball, or even if they're off the ball, you're seeing those two.
Prego's cross got deflected, and then it's cleared by De Castro. Back to the green. Go ahead.
But Messer, I haven't seen Messer and Diarbian create like a 1-2 to actually break and get in there and actually like cross the ball, you know, maybe like low across the box or anything. And that's going to be the key, because right now Ogden is just having a day. It's been his half against Diarbian, and in order to actually like break that, Messer needs to join in and make it a 2v1 situation.
Prego's found his fair share of space, trying to turn the corner, working on Jared Smith, who's sitting on a yellow card, and the goal scorer Albo came over, but that did leak out for a throw-in. Lorach holds the ball up but loses it and gives it back on a throw. A nervous energy in this crowd. Barrett beat Smith to it. Dylan Lane tracking back defensively. Schlingman. Messer comes to help out, winning the ball in the air from Boati. And again, Messer the stab, but it falls to a Massachusetts foot. It was Goddard who just couldn't get a shot away.
Some heart and mouth moments there. You know, you almost thought there was a foul there. That sometimes referees will see that and they'll just say it's a foul, but
the green punching back. Zangi for Diarbian. And Diarbian got clipped from behind. Again, Connor Bagden, the one who makes himself known to Diarbian. That's been the matchup of the half right there, those two.
Yep.
Diarbian saying this is not the first time he's caught me. And that's a pretty clear stab from Bagden that missed the ball.
And that would change the match, honestly. If you put Bagden on a yellow, then all of a sudden he has to second guess all of those little stabs, those challenges, those pushes. Right now he's not, so he's going to basically do whatever he wants.
Giorgio Probo and Zach Zangi, the two that are initially staring this down.
This is a good distance to get a curling shot on somebody with a very cultured right foot.
That's these two. Probo looking for his first in the green. Zangi has been quiet of late, but 2 goals on the year. 4 in the Pioneer Wall. It's Probo. eaten up by Sersosimo. Didn't quite get the bend he wanted.
No, I don't feel like he totally committed to that. You know, he wanted just like a little bit of placement, but he didn't really strike at the ball.
Another long ball that will test Barrett. He's dueling with Augustine Boati, and Prego comes out of the pack. That's well done by Barrett against the speedster. Here's some space for Messer. Haven't gotten to say that much. And Probo at the controls. Back for Messer. Zangi and Diarbian both asking for it. Diarbian receives. Messer stays on side. Now whips it across. Ball falls for Zangi. And I think it took the deflection off of Dylan Lane, and Sersosimo got on top.
It's a great ball in from Messer. Really difficult to deal with. A ton of pace on it. Just really unlucky. You really thought that was going to somehow just kind of trickle in off of those deflections.
Clearly the best service that any of the attacking options have been provided yet. Messer always so able to put the ball on a platter with his left foot.
In Vermont right now, they're probably asking themselves, like, what do we got to do just to put the ball in the net? Just need sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. Every team, needs at least like 5%, a little bit of luck in a match.
There's some luck again. Prego will have a throw on the right. Another look at this chance. Messer. Goodness, that's pretty. It takes a bounce off of Lane, and then it goes off the defender, off of Lane, into the arms of Sersosimo. One that I'm sure Zach Zangi will feel like, that's clearly the best chance I've gotten. And not necessarily bad luck that he didn't score, but was not lucky. And here's the booking for Ignacio Albo, the goal scorer. Another cynical challenge by the Pioneers. Their second man in the book.
So have I counted 4 yellow cards so far in this first half? It's going to be an interesting second half regardless. Barring no, substitutions.
Of course. There will be plenty of substitutions. Both sides, deep benches. Vermont sent their big bodies forward, but now drop it back. That was interesting. And now Jones and Barrett are tracking back defensively. Here's Diarbian. Vermont Green kind of slingshotting their way forward now.
Diarbian goes down the left-hand side again.
Dia. His chance to spray it to Dylan Lane. Well handled by Lane in the pouring rain.
Provo and Lane do ones, twos to each other.
Nacho. Back to goal. Knocked off of it by Pacheco. Thundered away by Oberach. Well, we're beyond the 45-minute mark. That was well done by Zangi. Advantage was initially played. The ball going to be out for a green throw-in.
You could see the idea, too. He wanted to just put it right behind Bagden. Saw Diarbian running in. It's a good idea.
Just too far in front of Zangi. Prego wins it back. Benny Prego skied it.
His eyes lit up. He saw the goal. His ball was bouncing a little bit. He thought he could just get an absolutely pure strike through the center of it. Fortunately, it sat up a little too high, standing a little too tall.
At our referee's jurisdiction now in the final moments of the first half.
He's got his whistle to his mouth already. But with all the fouls for it, I would have expected maybe, 3 minutes stoppage time.
And there is the whistle to end the first half. Western Massachusetts jumps in front with Ignacio Albo. A first half that featured 4 yellow cards. We've got a 15-minute halftime and then 45 minutes to play from Virtue Field. Still loads to play for between the division leaders. We'll be back in just a few minutes. This is Vermont Green Football.
Sometimes it's just the start of the journey that makes one follow closely behind. Sometimes it just takes one for a couple to be in the distance. Sometimes it just takes a couple with many more on their heels. Sometimes it's showing people your passion and heart that makes the journey greater every second. It's a spirit of success and to fight for what you believe in. It's grueling seconds of training. Repeat again, one more time. Sometimes it is games that feel like they will never end. And sometimes it's games that you don't want to end. It's what you do after the 3 whistles. Sometimes it's becoming stewards of our green mountains and the lands that sit between our cleats, showing that this world won't last forever unless we cherish it like a goal in the 95th minute of the championship game. Other times, it's breaking the binds of social stigma, racial divides, and inclusion to change and expel the ugly mindsets of those who try and spoil our beautiful game. Sometimes the fight for change is harder than the toughest of defeats. But don't forget that in those moments, that's when it stops being sometimes. All the time, it's a team of players, a family of fans, a passion for a better future. It influences change in our community, in the world of football, and beyond. All the time. It's a community founded by many with the vision of one.
Amazing. That was it.
Yeah, Provo's big hit. India.
The
volley.
Downtown Burlington. We are proud to support Vermont Green FC. To celebrate coffee culture in Vermont, you can visit us at 150 Terry Street to watch your Premier League team or the US women's soccer team compete in the World Cup later.
Oh, this is great. I'm allowed to drink beer on camera in front of folks. I hope everybody's doing okay. Sounded like an awesome first half. I spent most of it just staring at the Wagyu wagon while I was waiting for my order. It was well worth the wait. My name's Emiliano Void, and I'm a Burlington Vermonter for the past 8 years. I run a really cool diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting firm where we work with local colleges and universities like Champlain College. We got some really cool connections at BHS, and we work with local employers to try to create more opportunities from folks from diverse backgrounds to make their way directly into the workforce and have sense of community when they land here. Fun fact for you, a little trivia piece while we're hanging out at halftime in the soggy wet. Vermont is the second whitest state in the entire United States of America. But population growth in Chittenden County since the year 2010, 99% of that has been BIPOC folks. Vermont is changing in real time. And so having opportunities for folks, for us to work as community, for community, to create an opportunity for folks to come here, land on their feet, and feel like they belong when they show up, that's a big part of what we do. I think it's unbelievable for there to be opportunities like the Vermont Green Football Club now in Vermont. I think it's awesome that y'all showed up to show love on this soggy Saturday. I think it's just telling how in and as a community, we continue to build more of the things that we want to see instead of going and seeking them out elsewhere. So I'm super encouraged by the support of the community for opportunities like this, for VGFC to be in the building, and also for small folks like me to try to contribute to making this place feel as much as it's been a home for me as it is for anybody else that's coming from a bit of a diverse background. So if you're interested in anything at all, what it is that we do some really cool community-based events. We brought Angela Davis for the past couple of years right to the Flynn Theater to really celebrate and elevate black and brown voices here in Chittenden County. We work directly with mentorship programs as well to try to create opportunities for community-based connections to black youth. So if you folks are interested in hearing more, finding out more about what we do, if you're interested in leaning in and finding out how you contribute to building community here for some folks from different walks of life, don't be shy. Come over. Feel free to bring me a beer when you do. I'm not going to wait in line for another 20 minutes for the next one. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you folks. Thank you so much for your time. Go Green.
Thank you.
Western Mass in front through the opening 45 minutes. I'm Brian with Matt at halftime. Matt, we're going to take a look at the Western Mass goal, and they got in front pretty early, but then the rest of the first half did belong to Vermont Green.
Yeah, it was, off of this error, we'll see right here. Well, it didn't show it from it, but, Messer with like a heavy touch. And then, it's just unfortunate. It basically, they got the break. That ball, and DA didn't get his foot to it. And it's a good finish. Credit to the forward there that got the strike on it. Well done.
Ignacio Albo, the one who got in front for Western Massachusetts. But then after that, there were a bevy of chances for Vermont Green. They dominate possession. They're really kind of holding on to the ball. A couple of chances that they had throughout the half, and they had a bunch of corner kicks. Eventually, one resulted in this chance.
Yeah, and this is a great chance from it. Really good technique, just absolute textbook. Winds his body up for it. It's just pulled a little bit left, and you can see the frustration. He really thought that one was going to go in bottom corner. But, outside of that, yeah, after that initial first goal in the first, 5-10 minutes for Western Mass, they started to sit back a little bit. They had the lead now, and now they were happy to play more on the break, and you saw them take, 10, 15 steps back in their entire shape, and then Vermont, with a degree of class and rhythm that they started to develop, they started to consistently keep creating chances over and over again because they had a little bit more space for it. It was just unfortunate that there was 3 different opportunities that just somehow just didn't go into the back of the net.
As Vermont Green FC take the field, I'm not spotting any changes as of now. Of course, we'll let you know if we do see any changes coming out of halftime. Matt, the most success came from the combination of Prego and Lane down the right-hand side. The left side that we've seen so much success between Diarbian and Messer never quite found that killer rhythm that we've seen them have. What could they tweak to just get back to that same combo we've seen be so successful?
I think it's, NDA or Probo also communicating, giving a little bit of insurance to Messer. I think right now that channel, Diarbian's been having a difficult time with Bogdan, but Messer has gotten forward at times for it. It's just been a little bit too late when Western Mass can actually get collected defensively, get like their entire shape put together for it. But all of those good chances that we've seen from Vermont have come from, playing down the channel for it. So got to turn the dial up on that. It's going to be up to also Jones to communicate. He shifts over a little bit left, sits beneath where Messer generally would sit, or at least in his position. And then Messer stays a little bit closer to Diarbian, and they start to create those 2v1s on Bagden.
Let me read you the possible substitutions that Vermont Green could go with. If they're still searching for a goal, Nick Christofferson, the backup goalie, unlikely to see that change. Felipe D'Agostini, we haven't talked about him much. This would be his home debut, transferring to Syracuse from Oral Roberts. He's a 5'7" speedster. Bilal Kamal, we know what he brings. Denis Kruchenkov is the potential change up top. What of those changes could you see? What could Coach Pfeiffer do from the sideline to maybe adjust how this thing looks and the players and personnel on the field?
I'm not sure about D'Agostini, but I do feel like we're going to see probably a straight swap for swap with Zengi and Kamal. Getting, Kamal in, fresh legs for the second half for it. Zengi's had a little bit of a frustrating match, but he's played well. And I do absolutely think we could probably see DK at some point for, Nacho. If Nacho kind of fell out of form a little bit into that match. He wasn't getting any service, so I'm not really harping on him, but it wasn't going great towards that second half of the first half.
I mean, look at the rain coming down right now, Matt. This is a mess.
Brutal.
Shout out to the fans that are here. Mad respect for those guys we've got with their umbrellas, rain jackets, layers. You don't exactly sign up for this on a Saturday in June, but it's the conditions that everybody is playing with. I mean, look at that. This is just, I can't imagine fun to play in, right? I mean, we're semi-shielded in the press box. Did you like playing in the rain?
No.
Yeah.
So sometimes like playing pickup, when there's not a lot of pressure or anything like that. But if not in this match, I wouldn't want to be playing in just absolute downpour.
It is pounding down. We've got 45 minutes to play in a battle for the top of the table in the Northeast Division of USL2. No changes for Vermont Green FC. I'll keep my eye out for any possible changes from Western Mass. 45 minutes to salvage at least a point. Vermont Green would preferably love to strike twice and get 3 points here at home. Musa Ndiaye striding forward. And it's eventually bombed clear by the goal scorer, Albo. There were 4 first-half yellow cards. Albo received 1. Jared Smith received 1 for the Pioneers. For the Green, Nacho Larache and Zach Zangi were each booked. It was a physical first half, and now the rain at clearly its hardest point of the night. I mean, things are soggy.
Yeah, I got a feel for the goalkeepers. I'd start playing like Inter Milan's Onana and just start dribbling enough just to stay warm.
Probo angles it into the path of Prego. He and Dylan Lane had a great rhythm going in the first half. Zangi did well to get it back to Prego. DRBN asking for it, but it's a dropped ball for Ndiaye. And Vermont Green switched the play at relative ease. Probo, the Italian at the controls. Barrett getting wide. Dylan Lane. Probo, a line drive in the direction of Messer. DRBN does well to win it back off the poor touch from Bagdon. And now DRBN on a horizontal run. It's stabbed away from Zangi and leaks away from Lane. Out comes Sersosimo. That was better from DRBN, though. He finally got a step on Bagdon.
Yeah, defending is even worse in these conditions, I would say, versus attacking. Every contact is so difficult, and especially those clearances. The ball's bouncing around. It's difficult to get like a very consistent pass.
That's well done by Lawrence Goddard. First full name is Lawrence. Everybody calls him Laurie. Jared Smith. That got away from Goddard. Jones unable to clear it. Obarak. Shoulder to shoulder with Prego.
Good defending.
It is out for a corner, but Prego was with him step for step.
And now you have to stay absolutely hyper-focused right now. You got a corner in the first 2 minutes for it. You do not want to give up any errors. You want to be first to the ball.
It is Jared Smith preparing a left-footed in-swinger. Out-swinger, I should say. Western Mass got on it, and it's eventually put wide by Bagdon. I think Dylan Lane might have taken that one off the line.
Yeah, I think that was last ditch.
Best chance for the Pioneers since their goal.
Staying strong as it rains cats and dogs out there.
Probo's pass picked off. Smith, his eyes are up, but it's too much for Albo. We've seen Probo be really deep, kind of playing quarterback from that spot. He told us he likes to play a bit more far forward and that they're asking him to drop deeper. Is that something you could see a change? Maybe if Pacella come in and operate in that low-lying defensive midfield spot, we see Ndie creeping his way farther up the pitch.
Yeah, I expected Ndie actually to play deeper versus Provo, so that was a little bit of a surprise. But I will be interested to see kind of what Adam does if it stays at this scoreline somewhere around maybe the 65th, 70th minute, and they're trying to at least get something out of the match, get a result out of it.
Boati just ripped Provo to the turf. That's got the fans up in arms. Anything that happens right in front of these Virtue bleachers, the fans watch like hawks. They're on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
Jones, a bit cute with it, but able to shield for Barrett.
But, yeah, to finish the thought is it'd be interesting, if it stays this way. Oh, just
Oberock.
Can't get a thought out without a foul.
Cut Dylan Lane down. Oberock pleading his case, but that was an obvious yellow. Dylan Lane had the best of him there, and Oberock knew it.
But, yes, to finish it, is to see if Adam actually switches to have maybe one pivot and two center mids moving forward and actually just really increase the attacking options.
After that foul from Oberock, a deserved yellow. Now the third different Pioneer to be booked today. It is Zangi looking for service. The big men are forward. Zangi to the back post. It's punched down by the keeper. Ushered wide by Boati.
Tidied up by the Pioneers.
Zangi wins it back for a green throw. That was interesting from Sersosimo.
I think he was a little concerned that he wasn't going to actually catch it.
Yeah,
so
I guess
opted
so.
a punch.
In traffic, decided that the punch would be best. Hard to argue with the result. Pioneers did eventually get things under control. Messer rambling inside. Connects with Probo. Benny Prego.
Prego finds some space.
Probo and Prego. That's going to confuse me all year. Messer to the back post. LaRache got his head to it. Best chance for Nacho.
Did everything right. Again, it's missing just that little bit of luck maybe, whatever it was. I mean, it was an absolutely fantastic cross. Really good header. Take another look at this. Cultured left foot of Messer. Good header. Waits for it. Doesn't get under it too much.
DeCastro cuts off the pass from Probo looking for Diarbian. Zangi dancing, forced backwards to Barrett.
Vermont zipping the ball a lot more in the start of the second half. They are absolutely on the front foot so far. Even with the errors, like we just saw, so far they've started this second half hot.
Goddard picks out Augustine Boati. Dylan Lane in front defending. Boati on the cut back.
Ball into the box is low, gets deflected out by the green. He managed to get it out of the back of their lines.
It's a green throw-in.
Eventually getting a throw-in on the near side.
Still waiting for today's first change. Western Massachusetts struck early. Ignacio Albo, the go-ahead goal. Benny Prego has been dangerous. The top two teams in the Northeast Division of USL 2. Both have had their chances against Seacoast United, the third-place team in the league. A draw between the Phantoms and the Pioneers, while Seacoast came into this venue and the only time Vermont Green have dropped points this year. A 3-1 loss to Seacoast. Trying to avoid back-to-back home losses. Only a 2-year history of this club, but it would be the first time ever that they've lost back-to-back matches at home.
That's a great ball.
Messer found Diarbian. Messer turns the corner. Nathan Messer, and another big hit. This time it's Lane who crashes into Sersosimo. I think that's a foul on Dylan Lane. I don't think he meant anything beyond that. Just some protectiveness from Gabriel Pacheco to shove Lane away.
Yeah, you both have to go for it.
For sure.
Here's what it is. It happens.
And now here come the game's first changes. Sersosimo I think had the wind knocked out of him. I mean, this is a big hit.
Yeah, he took it. It looked like he took it under his arm and his rib cage, right, bang, there.
Good goalkeeping, but you would expect Dylan Lane to attack the ball like that. LaRache, the team's leading scorer, a former Pioneer. And now we will get the Massachusetts changes.
Pioneers use this moment to make 2 substitutions.
Coming off is Bagden, as well as Laurie Goddard. 2 that have been on that right-hand side of the defense for Western Mass, dealing with DRBN and Messer.
A little surprised by the Bagden substitution, but maybe it's because of the yellow card. And
definitely possible. Dylan Lane squeezes it for Benny Prego. Prego dancing with Albo. And eventually Albo stabs it out for a throw-in. Dylan Lane.
Lane sticks it into the middle.
It falls for Ndiaye.
Ndiaye controls at the top of the box.
DRBN, that was nasty. And then a thunderous challenge knocks it away from Gavork DRBN. That's Connor Hicks in the game at right back, the grad who played for AIC. But now a break on for Jared Smith. Smith on his left foot, rings the crossbar. A rebound sent over the bar as well. Fresh in the game, Khalid Rose missed a good chance after Smith almost doubled the lead.
It was the layoff, the long ball with the layoff. Then all of a sudden it created that 3v3, chance going forward.
Another look at the Smith hit.
Really dangerous.
I think Schnur got a piece of that.
He did. He absolutely got a piece of that. That knuckled.
On his 21st birthday, first time wearing the captain's armband, Nathan Schnur did well and did just enough. It's vital to keep this deficit at 1.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Keep it at 1. Try to sneak in that 1 somewhere within the next 10, 15 minutes, and then go on and win it.
Prego wants the long ball. Zangi a willing chaser. That's won by Pacheco. And a quick throw in from Lane. Zangi couldn't handle it. So now we've seen the first changes from Western Mass. What are we expecting of a response from Vermont Green with both those changes being on that right-hand side?
I don't think you'll necessarily see like a change in approach from Vermont necessarily for that. It's really okay. Yeah, it's fresh legs for it, but it's also a player coming in cold.
There's
like
Messer dealing with Rose.
They have not been playing. This player, whoever's replacing on the right side for right back, hasn't been actually locked into Darby, and so it might actually look like a mismatch for a little while just because he's not warmed up to the match.
Barrett got himself into trouble against Boati. Schnur now into some trouble, but does get back on top of it. Frustration as Schlingman did end up bumping into Schnur. Jones played bodyguard.
Gathers the ball confidently.
The German Schlingman thought about looking for some scraps beneath the table there. Probo, some real estate for him. Lane, a bit of an awkward touch, and he couldn't control it. Rose, Schlingman, shoulder to shoulder with Jones. Boati has a step. Barrett recovers. Boati curls it, and Schnur, full extension, touches it wide.
Fantastic save.
Again, Western Mass looked dangerous on the break, but again, Nathan Schnur, his fingers just long enough.
Yeah, he stayed on his feet, too. He read it really well, just saw where he was going to go for it. Great dive to the right here. Just gets his fingertips to it.
It's out for a Massachusetts corner, but Schnur doing his job, holding the deficit at 1. An in-swinger that's flicked on, and Western Mass extends the lead. No, it's a foul. A bump as Schlingman Sent Messer to the ground. Good spot, Matt.
I want to take another look at this.
The Western Mass coach in disbelief. Here's a look. You can see Messer go to the ground with Schlingmann immediately celebrating, but then was quickly quieted when the referee spotted the foul.
It's a great strike with his head. I'll give him that.
A beautiful little flick that had Schnurr beaten. Messer's ball just trickles out of play, intended for DRBN. Defended there by Connor Hicks. Coming off the bench for the first time in a while, Hicks had made 4 consecutive starts prior to this one. He's a veteran, a college graduate.
I think we're about to start seeing some changes. I'm seeing some of the players over there. I can't quite see who it is that is getting geared up, ready for it.
I think that looks like Denis Kruchenkov.
Yep.
Won by DeCastro, away from LaRache.
Different prospect, too, with DK coming on. You know, a little bit of bigger player, a little more physical for it. I think he'd be a little bit of a better prospect, you know, for the cross itself.
Prego's only option is to allow it to go out of play. Yeah, I think that Nacho's great at getting on the ball, helping with possession, can make that incisive run. I would guess Kruchenkov is probably the option for balls in the air in the middle and for finishing those crosses off.
Looks like we're going to have a center mid substitution as well.
2 substitutions for Vermont Green. Number 21, Natural Loretz is coming off for David.
So I see Rodrigo Ferreira coming in. Denis Kruchenkov, and I believe this will be the debut of Felipe D'Agostino.
Okay. Let's see what he's got about him.
So Barrett off for Ferreira.
Rodrigo Ferreira.
That's going to move Musa and DA to the back 4. He's a center back as well.
Zach Zenge is.
And Zangi off for D'Agostino, who played at Oral Roberts in the fall where he scored 9 times and had 6 goals, transferring to Syracuse in the fall. D'Agostini right now lining up on that right-hand side. So Dylan Lane, the one who's off for D'Agostini. Kruchenkov up top, DRBN and Zangi remain in the attacking 4.
Okay, this is a big last 30 minutes. Again, if we win this, we go top of the group. We got some fresh legs on. We need a hit from the crowd. Come on, let the boys know you're with them.
And DA directing traffic from the back line. This is going to be interesting how this changes.
Let's get them this goal.
D'Agostini tried to slither his way forward, ran into the back of Oberock, who's on a yellow. Probo.
Wow.
And DRBN drops it to his feet.
Yeah. Impressive.
That was really cool to watch.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's the only way to describe it.
That's exactly how I describe it.
Prego got it from DRBN. His turn to provide the service.
No green man on the end of it.
Ferreira looking to knock it away from Boati. And a foul against DRBN as he took the stab at the lightning quick Augustine Boati. There was the look at just a bit of a touch from DRBN. Jones won it in the air. Khalid Rose, he was a massive part of last year's Western Mass crew. scoring 7 times a year ago. Schnurr comes out, laying out for the punch. Swept away from danger by Zengi, but not all the way clear. Well read by Prego.
What?
They got a handball going against Benny Prego. I think our official was the only one on the pitch who saw that. Western Mass was headed back to play defense.
A little bamboozled. I don't think that was a handball at all, but
I mean, that ball was pinballing its way around. Let's see what we can get a look at.
no, that's not
Right.
a handball.
Does his right arm reach back maybe and get it?
He literally flicks it, and he has no idea about it. The ball hits his hand from behind. There's nothing he can do about that. Silly
Ignacio
call.
Albo takes the set piece right at Prego. Probo trying to start the break. Green streaming forward. Zengi to Messer. Recovered well by the Pioneers. Just for a moment, it looked like the break might have been on. This is setting up for quite the finish into the 65th minute. Two teams even with 15 points apiece at the start of the day. A hold this time against Khalid Rose.
Obviously, you want the win, of course. I understand that, but I think both teams would probably be totally okay with going home with a draw, taking a point from this, and then matching, looking to the next matchup.
Here's Felipe Diagostini. Oh, dancing. Diagostini gets to his right foot, chops it back, but couldn't get anywhere with it. Well, that was an entrance.
So he's got feet.
Augustine Boati pushing the other direction. Boati has options in the middle, going at Ndie. Boati lays it off, and Schnurr able to scoop it up.
I don't know who Bellotti is yelling at for it. I think he wanted a player to run across maybe for it, but that was just a bad ball at the end. Did all the hard work, but...
Prego cheaply gives it back. Schlingman the takeaway, and now he can push forward. This is Rose looking for Jared Smith. Smith has time and space. Diagostini providing defense in front. Smith will cross. Rose not attacking it on the back post, and Messer out of play. Well, it's clear what Felipe Diagostini offers.
We have a card for...
Oh. Looks like he got Rodrigo de Castro. Unless he showed it to the coach. I don't think he showed it to the bench.
No. But the Western Mass coach is very animated.
Federico Molinari, animated on the sideline. Zengi can't burst forward. Albo in the middle. The pass behind Oberock. Calmly has it. Prego struggled to control it as the rain continues to fall. Diagostini and Smith collide as they both slide for the ball, and it ends up with Ferreira.
He started well, though, Diagostini. I've liked what I've seen so far. He's jumped right into the match.
Diagostini didn't pick up the assist on one of the Dylan Lane goals in the midweek, but he did have the pass to Messer. Messer then notched the assist.
It's the assist to the assist.
Hockey assist.
It's totally a thing.
Diarbian got it from Zengi. Now Messer, room to tee it up. Messer's cross. Oberock read it well. Over the top of Kruchenkov. Yet to see DK make an impact since entering.
He hasn't had any service yet. And, if you're not going to get any service, then he needs to go and get it. But that might be instructions where he's supposed to try to keep that back line, work those two center backs themselves instead of dropping in.
I think that's the biggest change Vermont Green might have made. Diagostini and Ferreira, fresh legs, but Kruchenkov is definitely a different look at the top of the formation than LaRache.
Yep, absolutely.
That ball boy took a bump over there. Everybody's going to be coming away with bruises tonight.
Putting his body in the line of fire there. He's small, though.
Foul spotted on Jones. And now another set piece to defend for Vermont Green. It is only Ignacio Albo's early goal. That was before the pouring rain started. Jared Smith to put it into the box. It's a good ball.
It's exactly how you want to cross the ball in. That is a ton of pace for it. You know, anybody that gets on the end, it just has to flick it on and takes care of it.
And DA looking for Zangi's run. Flag stays down. Zangi has roamed over to this right-hand side. D'Agostini surrounded. Out for a throw.
D'Agostini on the right-hand side manages to draw another throw into the green deep in the Pioneers' half.
Prego and D'Agostini tiptoeing their way up this right-hand sideline. Prego hooks to the ground, and again it's Albo on a yellow card who brings him down. I've been impressed with Prego. This is as dynamic as we've seen him in my mind.
Yeah, I think he's had a good match so far. I know there's been a couple errors, but everyone's had a couple errors.
It's been sloppy.
Yeah, it's been sloppy. The conditions are not exactly ideal for it, but I've liked what I've seen.
Probo towards the back post. Jones wins it, but across the face of goal, nobody could get on it, and it's a goal kick.
I think D'Agostini kind of realized, like, why didn't I actually go run into the box there earlier? But
a half second late. Another Pioneer substitution coming.
Bar closes in 5 minutes. Last call for alcohol.
It is going to be, I think, a change for Jory Klingman, who's putting on a slow jog performance. It's kind of the opposite of power walking.
He's taking his time.
How slow can you jog? Yeah. There's Schlingman. He finally reaches the sideline. Western Mass, all smiles for now. 3 points in hand as it stands. Here's Felipe D'Agostini. He ran out of room with Albo.
Come on, boys, let's keep up this momentum.
I am seeing Kamal warming up, and I do think we're going to see him soon.
I think so, too. I liked your idea of a straight-up switch for Zangi.
Yep.
Probo, a bit of a poor touch, read by Hicks.
I haven't seen much of Zangi in this second half so far.
That's a foul against Mamadi Gianna, a star at Norwich, where this fall he played for Vermont Green FC head coach Adam Pfeiffer. Gianna had 12 goals and 7 assists for Norwich this year. Coming off his first goal of the season in the win on Saturday for Western Mass against AC Connecticut.
Ooh.
Another big challenge as Jones goes over the top of Gianna. And now a crash of bodies between Prego and Smith. D'Arbian trying to turn on Hicks.
And you can see it's so difficult to just play like one touch, and I think that's what Vermont would ideally like to be able to do, especially when it was, sunny, dry, and hot. You can play one touch a lot more often. Now it's everyone's trying to make sure that they settle the ball first quickly, get it under control in these conditions instead of being able to just zip the ball real fast.
Smith knocks it off of D'Agostini. Boati feels Prego on his back, and now Zangi comes over to chop at him. D'Agostini gives up the throw. A bit of a subdued atmosphere tonight due to the rain. And the Vermont Green side have been down for most of this match. They're looking to rally. Bawadi fouled by Prego. Free kick coming in a dangerous spot for the Pioneers, and they've generated some chances off these.
Yeah, they've grown into this second half now a little bit. They kind of weathered a storm in the first portion of this second half, but now you're starting to see it's equaling out a little bit. This is a dangerous spot. You know, it's even closer than the corner flag, obviously, by another 10 feet for it. So just whip this ball in real hard.
The lefty, Jared Smith. A deep ball to the back posts. DRBN could not clear it. And I think that was Messer who just did not waste any chances.
Hearing the fans saying give him a card, wasting time. We've definitely seen that a little bit. It's a little bit of a trend that I've seen from either the goalkeeper for Western Mass or even on the set pieces or throw-ins. You know, take your time. Oh, now we have somebody tying their shoes and he's in the way.
He ran right back onto the field to tie his shoe as well. That is elbow. And it will be a Pioneer corner. Well, those are the dark arts a little bit.
That's the dark arts, as I say.
Mm-hmm. It's Smith again. He's taken most of those set pieces. It's loose. Zangi out with it. And here goes Diarbian, a chance to break. Gavork Diarbian beats one man, but could not navigate Bawadi. Just couldn't get it off his feet to Kruchenkov or Zangi, who are making runs.
Yeah, I don't think he's enjoying, honestly, the wet conditions. He's struggling a little bit this match, Diarbian. Not quite like that close touch and control that we're used to from seeing from him.
Jones venturing into the midfield and turns it over. It's Mamadi Gianna. Gianna, well read by Musa Ndiaye, just to take it away from Bawadi. That was careless from Jones.
Ndiaye rock in the back.
Ferreira trying to up the sense of urgency. What a ball for Gavork Diarbian. And there's a great touch. Diarbian hustling to the end line. Cuts it back. Kruchenkov holding. Might have taken that away from Probo in the middle. Messer for Diarbian.
Can they switch the field now? Switch the field.
Ferreira does it. Picks out his collegiate teammate at Franklin, Pierce Prego. Diagostini. Felipe Diagostini chips it with his left foot, but nobody making that back post run. A teasing ball from Diagostini, but nobody there to pounce, except for Gianluca Sersosimo. I told you I'd stumble on that at least once.
I mean, you did a great job for 76 minutes.
77th minute, he finally got me.
You're due one, you know.
I was due one there. A thundering header from Ndiaye. But the ball to the feet of Smith. Well read by Ferreira.
Good intervention, gets Green back to possession.
Good to see Rodrigo Ferreira back. He missed some time earlier this year due to an injury, a returner from last year's squad.
I know there's still time, obviously, in the match to get an equalizer at least for it, but I think, Vermont will be, especially Adam and the staff, will be pleased with what they've seen, the reaction and how they've met this match. This is, going to be arguably their most difficult match, and I think they've played very well.
Nobody on the end of a DRB cross. Once again, pleading with somebody to make that run. There are a pair of Vermont Green substitutions incoming. Daniel Pacella and Bilal Kamal both set to come on.
Probo and Zengi, I'm assuming. Or potentially Diarbian, but
those would be the simple changes. Probo is on his way to the sideline.
He had some good spells this match, Probo. He had a couple really good balls. It was unfortunate that it didn't result in an assist for it, but
he was a big part of the best pressure in the first half as that distributor.
Yep.
He checks out for Pachella, and as you guessed, Matt, it will be Bilal Kamal for Zach Zangi. Some extra instructions for Gavork Diarbian from the sideline as well. So Kamal will play that number 10 spot. The Green desperate for a goal and to avoid dropping back-to-back home matches. Both these teams have been much better on the road this season. 4 road matches for Western Mass, they've taken 10 of 12 points. In their 3 home matches, only 5 of 9. D'Agostini finds Kamal. Kamal wants his left foot. Well recovered by the defense of the Pioneers. Ferreira across the edge of the 18, cut out by Hicks.
Just praying for a handball there, huh?
Some type of
Yeah.
hectic bounce, I think, more than anything. It is that time of game in these wet conditions where I know it's unscientific. I know it's against soccer purity, but just throw it in the mixer, man.
Yeah. Well, now you've got a bigger target in DK, which is, it's difficult when you're playing with Nacho. It's like, well, what's necessarily always the point of crossing the ball in the air for it? But with DK, you've got something you actually got like a large target to go for.
Kruchenkov, listed as a 6-foot center forward, scored 9 times for Davidson in the fall. Prego
looks bigger than 6 foot.
He does look tall and lanky. Prego does well to dance around traffic. Gets it back from Kamal. Prego towards DK. Well defended by Western Mass. Play allowed to go on as Pachella pings it for Messer. That was Ndie who stampeded forward to keep the ball on the attacking end. Diarbian on the half turn. Clattered by Rose. Messer, his early ball. Not up to his standard. It will be out for a Pioneer throw-in.
For the Pioneers.
D'Agostini. Working with Diarbian. Diarbian gets run through by Rose, but won the ball. Pushed forward by Kadua. Jones able to find Kruchenkov. He did well to stay on side.
Great touch.
D'Agostini for Pachella. The Pioneers really packing things in defensively. Ferreira's pass cut out. All of the Western Mass 11 in their defensive third. Prego opens his stride and tracks it down. Benny Prego. A right-footed knuckleball cross. It's a goal kick. I thought for a moment that might have taken a deflection.
Well, got another sub coming.
The captain, Jake Ashford. There was a look at the challenge of Rose on Diarbian. He definitely won ball, but, a shoulder to the chest as well.
So it looks like Ashford is going to be joining DK up top.
Well, this is interesting.
So he's shifting to a 4-4-2. D'Agostini out on the left.
Diarbian, the one who exited stage left.
I might have it wrong. Maybe Kamal is out right then. I don't know.
I think D'Agostini on the left, Kamal on the right, with Ashford and Kruchenkov, the top two. I think you might be right, 4-4-2. Interesting to see Ashford, the defensive maestro.
Well, we're crossing the ball a lot more now.
Need somebody to win those balls in the air.
So have those 2 targets.
We have not gotten to see Vermont Green like this, desperate for a goal. D'Agostini.
Yeah, we were so blessed for so long. It's difficult to see without a goal.
Messer has his man tied up. Messer towards Ashford, just wide, and it's a goal kick. Jake Ashford His first touch since entering.
That would have been incredible.
Feed that man.
Yeah. First touch, goal.
With a defender draped all over him. And I love that Jake Ashford's talking. Immediately, he is barking at the Western Mass defenders. If I just read his lips right, I think he just said, and I'm going to win the next one.
Yep.
Which I
love it.
Love that attitude from your captain.
We got time for a couple more.
Ferreira and Pacella. A familiar duo. D'Agostini has space to advance. Hicks punches it out of play. The good news for Vermont Green, you've got 6+ minutes left, and Western Mass aren't even looking to break. You've got them officially penned in.
Yep, they are now basically almost 2 low blocks that you can see.
It's a 4-4-2 for them as well.
Yep.
Prego. DK trying to hold it up. That's a physical challenge. DK was tangled with Gabriel Pacheco. I would have been surprised if the referee gave that call, but Pacheco all over the back of
he just didn't want to
his man.
I think the reason the referee didn't give that call as a foul was the ball was pretty far away, like he wasn't going to get to it.
If it had been
if
underneath
it stayed close,
Kurchenkov,
yeah, then absolutely,
I see what you're saying.
That's a call.
Yep. And DA splits the line. Kamal
Good touch.
spots D'Agostini. Hicks rises up to win the ball in the air. Ferreira reads it. Now Vermont Green pressing hard to win it back.
Oh, this is an interesting 1v1 right here. Oh,
Schnur does eventually get it after the battle between Boadia and DA.
fantastic job from NDA, though. I thought he might have gotten himself in trouble a little bit, but the ball just wouldn't sit high enough for him to head it back to Schnur, and it wouldn't settle to his feet.
Messer gives it right back. Gianna picks it up and drops it for Smith. Those type of giveaways are the ones that'll kill you late in these games. Pacella checks his shoulder and turns. And again, Vermont Green just a bit loose when they get the ball and have a little time.
Yeah, the ball's moving really fast. You can see on the ground, and I think it's just their touch. Just it's getting ahead of them just a little too much, like that right there.
Yep, just a bit more out of control than we're used to seeing from Rodrigo Ferreira.
This you want to see.
Kamal, a right-footed ball. And again, Ashford, the one who found it. It's Jake Ashford. Oh, what a deflection. Jake Ashford. He put his boot through it. That is a man who is hungry. I mean, that would have been something.
What a great strike,
and
too.
A great block.
I don't think the goalkeeper would have had much to do about it.
Off the corner. Ashford in the area again. And DA was in the mix as well. But in the defensive end, Gianna clears his line. Well, they are pressuring the net of Gianluca Sersosimo. Ferreira, nifty turn on the feet from Pacella. Ashford. Well, that's Kurchenkov.
I was going to say, they both kind of look...
It's Kamal! Sersosimo's best save yet. Bilal Kamal on his right foot, testing the keeper. They do look similar up top.
Yeah, I was going to say, from up here, it's like they actually have the same build and, like, haircut.
Oh, that is a great save.
Yeah.
Sersosimo to his right.
Settle the ball.
Got to get it on the ground. D'Agostino does that. Knocked off of him by Boati. And one final substitution for the Pioneers. Jared Smith, the one to exit.
Don't think there's going to be a lot of stoppage time, just like in the first half. There hasn't been lots of,
outside of the dark arts.
Yeah, well, there hasn't been like a lot of stoppage at all for even like fouls, so I think it's going to be right down to the wire of 2 minutes.
Kruchenkov has wandered up the pitch. No, that's Messer. Jeez, I'm all over the place. DiAgostini whips it across. Ashford taken down to the ground. But it's a goal kick. Again, Pacheco physically defending some of the Vermont big men.
See if maybe there is a foul in here, but referee doesn't know. No.
Ashford trying to just curl over the top, collided with Pacheco. And a yellow card for time wasting. Sir Sosimo booked. It brings a big cheer from the fans. Messer with Khalid Rose. Back to Jones. Benny Prego. So much on the line. Ferreira, DiAgostini off his shoulder. Stops it on a string. Pacella loses one man. Finds Kruchenkov. Well done by Prego. He's got room to cross. Prego to the back post, and it goes through the legs of D'Agostini. Messer rebounds, crosses towards Kamal, but it's too far. Bilal Kamal skipping, drops it for Prego. Benny Prego chops it back. Ferreira for Jones.
Keep that whistle out of your mouth.
Into 90 plus. Prego can venture centrally. Kruchenkov again dragged down. But it's Bilal Kamal. A spinning ball. That was off of the Pioneer. Ferreira wants to provide service to the back post. Just over the bar, but a foul going against Ashford regardless.
He can't get over the top of the ball and it goes over.
They've had some chances. Ashford and Kamal in particular off the bench in this second half.
Sissimo has had an absolutely fantastic match, though. I have to give a ton of credit to him.
The Argentinian, Gianluca Sersissimo, the starter. He's established himself as the man for the Pioneers. We've played 91 minutes.
Might be time just for one more.
Pacella kept it in play well, but it's De Castro who can send his forwards on the chase.
Why doesn't he?
And DA had it handled.
Yeah, I guess.
You were going to question him right there.
It's like, why didn't you take that out of the air?
DiAgostini. Rose came all the way back and did well. Is there time for one last Vermont Green rush? Jones, a floating ball. Ashford nods it. Kruchenkov still chasing, and there's Sersissimo. Well, I thought he was going to try to Alfie Pope bicycle for a moment.
Yeah, and I think that might be it.
We have played 92 minutes. Allowed to play on for a moment. Again, Messer trying to push it forward. Kruchenkov looking to hold it up. He finds Jones. DiAgostini on the chase. But he couldn't reel it in. It's Pacheco who handled it. And play still continues.
How far are we in? 2.5.
I've got the very unofficial, official cell phone stopwatch going. And DA can only play it out after Gianna did well to take the ball away from Prego. Oberock just telling Gianna to take it. 93-plus minutes now. And a yellow card shown to Mamadi Gianna. His second straight match with a yellow card. And still Vermont Green given some hope. Prego sandwiched.
Fine, just maybe enough time for one last chance.
Jones, Ashford, Kruchenkov, all forward.
Somebody has to run off of it, though.
Ashford manhandled by Pacheco. Kamal drops it down. Dancing with Oberock. Kamal skips by one. D'Agostini back for Kamal as D'Agostini goes down hard. Kamal on the touchline, cuts it back. Nobody there. It falls free and a smash from Pachella. Took a deflection. The referee calling for a corner. And here comes Nathan Schnurr on his 21st birthday. The keeper is coming forward. Kamal ready to take the corner. We've played over 94 minutes. Can Vermont Green salvage a point?
Schnurr posting up right on the goalkeeper.
They've got 10 men in the box. Kamal, a low whipped cross, loose in the mixer. And it's chased away by Rose. It is a throw-in for the Pioneers, and still we play on. No, we don't. Western Mass goes on the road and gets 3 points. A massive performance from the Pioneer defense. The early goal from Ignacio Albo, all that separate these two that were top of the table when the day began. Coach Molinari, the victor, he takes the 3 points away from home. And now back-to-back home losses for this Vermont Green side in league play.
Well, I think there's a lot to, honestly to learn from it. And those two matches were probably against the most difficult teams within the actual group.
Yes, clearly.
Seacoast and Western Mass both being the absolute, biggest matchups that we have within this group for it. But based off of just performance, from results aside, the performance I thought was actually very good. And that's something that I would try to lean on, at least if I were Coach Adam and his staff, is from what they've seen and communicate that with the players is, listen, you turned it on really exceptionally, especially in those last 20 minutes, but you have to have almost a little bit of that, not desperation, but that energy needs to come in the first half for it. And they had a little bit of it. There was spurts of it, but you really do have to start that way in order to kind of really give yourself the best chance of winning the match.
We'll see you again Wednesday. Matt, what's in a relatively quick turnaround here back at home? Boston Bolts come to town. A team you beat to open the season 3-0 on the road. The message in the locker room, how do you try to bounce back, recovery, everything to get ready for Wednesday?
I don't think you need to change a lot outside of that, and I do think there was really it was unlucky. There was some chances that really we've seen so many goals from those similar types of chances, and it just didn't fall for Vermont tonight for it. So I wouldn't necessarily go in and start throwing boots around in the locker room and say the wheels are falling off by any means, but I do think, it's more so kind of lean on, we have to bury those in order to win these matches for it. So I wouldn't change a lot. I would say go home, get a good night's sleep, get some food in you, and we go back to training, and we turn it around on Wednesday.
Western Mass comes away from this top-of-the-table clash the victors. They will leave tonight with all 3 points and a firm spot in first place through their opening 8 matches. In Vermont Green's opening 7, they win 5, they drop 2 of them, and they're still in a great spot for the playoffs. We'll talk to you on Wednesday as the Boston Bolts are in town. That game kicks off at 7 p.m. Start of a stretch of home matches for you. I hope you'll join us then. For Matt Montel and our entire production crew, great job, guys. I'm Brian. Talk to you next time with more Vermont Green Soccer.